This is the Patriotic Pitbull News Network. This is your Fast Five for October 15th, 2018. I am the Patriotic Pitbull, and here's what we got for you this morning. Good to be back online after a hellacious week last week with our technology here at headquarters, but we're ready to rock and roll here once again. So let's get on to it with our first article of the day this is from themarketwatch.com. Here's what Trump's ethanol plan means for farmers, refiners, and motorists. Now, this was in relation to the plan that Mr. Trump put out about the ethanol ban during the summer months. He took that off last week. So President Donald Trump's plans to allow the sale of a higher concentration of ethanol in gasoline throughout the year would appease U.S. corn farmers who have been stung by low corn prices as a result of U.S.-China trade dispute and likely even led to lower prices at the pump. And likely even lead to lower prices at the pump. Some refiners and older car engines, however, may pay the price. And the Patriotic Pitbull has discussed that before on our Patriots Soapbox show that we were supposed to be doing this morning, but we don't have the right numbers to get into the room. So we're not there this morning, but we should be back tomorrow. Trump is expected to announce a directive later Tuesday that would allow the year-round sale of gasoline with up to 15% ethanol, also known as E15. That would include the use of the blend even during the summer driving season. Its use in the summer months is currently banned as it can produce more smog. You can improve this all day long, but Americans don't necessarily want it, said Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at fuel price tracker Gas Buddy. It would help to push corn prices higher and benefit farmers, and it may even help to lower the price of gasoline, but it would hurt refiners who don't have the ability to blend ethanol. And there are also concerns about the impact of E15 in car engines, especially those made before 2001, he said. And it's also bad for the marine and two-strokes as well. We talked about that before here at Patriotic Pitbull News Network. I feel like we were ahead of the curve. On the negative side, selling a 15% ethanol blend means that retailers have a fuel that is not backdated and that it is inappropriate for older cars, said Tom Clausa, global head of energy analysis at the Oil Price Information Service, or OPIS. That leads to problems with labeling, equipment, and could, under some circumstances, create performance issues for, say, 1990s cars. DeHaan, meanwhile, pointed out that the Environmental Protection Agency has an interesting warning label on E15, which basically warns motorists not to fill up with that type of gasoline blend if their car was made before 2001. Huh? The EPA, who we already know has their head up their rear, they even have an interesting warning label on E15, which warns motorists not to fill up with that type of gasoline blend if their car was made before 2001. The EPA regulates the reed vapor pressure, or RVP, of gasoline during the summer from June 1st to September 15th. That's a generic term for gasoline volatility, and it's monitored to reduce, quote, evaporative emissions from gasoline that contribute to ground-level ozone. The EPA grants a 1 pound per square inch RVP waiver for E10, but so far declined to expand the waiver for summer E15, said Brian Milne, energy editor and product manager with DTN. Increasing the concentration of ethanol to 15% from 10 leads to higher RVP numbers than allowed during the summer, said DeHaan. The change also has implications for renewable fuel credits. Now, here's where it gets interesting, folks. Renewable identification numbers, or RINs, are used to track batches of biofuel, such as ethanol. They serve as credits and act basically like a currency in the Renewable Fuel Standard program, aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Renewable fuel producers generate RINs, and obligated parties obtain and ultimately retire RINs for compliance, according to the EPA. But market participants can also trade them. Gasoline stations are incentivized to sell gasoline with ethanol, said DeHaan. The more sold, the more RINs they get, and those can be sold to oil refiners that are not blending enough gasoline with ethanol. There's value to selling ethanol. Trump's directive, however, would include a call to reform this credit system. The White House said it will push for more transparency in the system and look to offset market speculators by limiting RINs to obligated parties, Wall Street Journal reported. Milne says he expects Trump's announcement to be bearish for RIN prices, which have been hammered lower while offering ethanol producers greater demand opportunities next year. Refiners could lose shares in the gasoline market, Milne said. That means that refiners who have benefited through high RIN values would likely see that revenue stream decline, while independent refiners would likely see their compliance costs drop further. For corn farmers, analysts say the move could certainly benefit prices. Raising the ethanol blend rate would be a win-win for the pocketbook of every corn farmer, said Sal Gilberti, president and chief investment officer at Tucrium Trading LLC. It would be viewed as supportive to the corn markets. Corn futures trade around 4% higher year to date, but that's after suffering declines in each of the last 5 years. Notably, in 2013, futures prices dropped nearly 40% on ample inventories. It would be a huge win for farmers in the corn lobby who are obviously suffering from low corn prices, especially in light of the trade battle Trump has provoked with China, said DeHaan. This is kind of a no-brainer throwback to farmers who are suffering from those sanctions. E15 could also be a win for motorists. Ethanol is currently trading at a discount to gasoline, which means if an additional 5% ethanol is added into a gallon of gasoline, the less expensive ethanol would reduce the price of a gallon of gasoline to the consumer, said Gilberti. Right now, a gallon of ethanol is about 70 cents cheaper than a gallon of gasoline, which means adding 5% more ethanol will reduce the price of a gallon of gas by about 3.5 cents. In addition to the about 7 cents a gallon price benefit consumers are already receiving due to the current price of ethanol in relation to gasoline and the 10% blend, he said. That's just a bunch of hoo-ha right there. Just, ladies and gentlemen, this whole entire thing is crap. DeHaan put the savings for motorists at about 5 to 10 cents a gallon versus E10, but if ethanol prices go up due to intense demand, E15 could end up costing more, he said. Now, that is all true. See, that's what they're not telling you. This should be right on the front of every paper right here that has to do with the gasoline industry. That right here, they're trying to shove this down our throats. But if the prices go up, well, then it's going to cost more to fuel up your car. See, this is a redundant system of crap that is not good for anybody. The average U.S. price for regular unleaded stood at $2.90 a gallon Tuesday afternoon, according to Gas Buddy. Prices are up about 43 cents. 43 cents a gallon from last year's average of $2.47. And I've been griping about this all year long, and I'm going to continue to gripe about it. What the hell? Why is our prices going up if we are exporting more as the United States of America? Who's lying to us? Who's fluffing us? And why are we paying so much at the pump? The implementation of the rule might depend on hurdles presented by the rulemaking process as well as any legal challenges. All said, however, Trump's expected announcement will do nothing to influence gasoline and ethanol prices in the next 6 to 9 months, said Claza of the OPIS. I doubt whether legal hurdles can be cleared even in time to impact the next driving season. The winners are the lawyers for the moment, he added. Very last line of this entire article. Yes, indeed, folks. Pay attention. Second article of the day. Let's get on over to from Reuters. Honduran migrant group treks north as the U.S. calls for tighter borders. More than 1,000 people, including families and women carrying babies, set off from Honduras towards the United States on Saturday, days after the United States urged Honduras president to halt mass migration. Recent attempts at group crossings from Central America to the United States have tested U.S. President Donald Trump's zero-tolerance stance on illegal immigration, as people fleeing violence and poverty defy threats of deportation. I believe we'll get to the United States. There's no work in Honduras, and you live in fear that they're going to kill you or your children, said Fanny Barahona, 35, an unemployed teacher who walked with her 9-year-old son and carried a 2-year-old daughter. Some 1,300 people joined the so-called March of the Migrant, planning to walk from San Pedro Sula in northern Honduras through Guatemala and into Mexico, organizer Bartolo Fuentes said. Once in Mexico, they plan to request refugee status to remain in the country or a visa to pass through to the U.S. border, he said. In April, media attention on a similar group of migrants dubbed a caravan prompted Trump to press for tighter border security, tougher border security, and demand such groups be refused entry. And most in the caravan said they were fleeing death threats, extortion, and violence from powerful street gangs. You know what? Not our problem in America. Stay home and get your own country fixed. That's what I say. More than 64% of Honduran households live in poverty, and San Pedro Sula has one of the world's highest murder rates. There is no work and so much violence that you can get killed walking down the street, said Javier Solis, 25, who said he has not found work in a year and wants to enter the United States. On a previous attempt, he was deported to Honduras upon reaching Mexico. Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez said U.S. funding was declining, and he called on the United States to reunite migrant children with their parents after Washington's policy of separating families trying to cross the U.S.-Mexican border put Honduras under huge pressure. And if I'm not mistaken, just this morning or yesterday, President Trump said, you know what? If you have a fear of getting deported, then don't try to come up here. I love my president. Third article. You might have heard about this going on. If you haven't, well, I'm sorry, but this is a big effing deal for the entire world. Now, Saudi King Salman has begun weighing in to try to defuse the growing crisis over missing journalist Jamal Khashoggi as the kingdom goes on the offensive, triggering a fierce online media campaign. Now, Jamal Khashoggi went into, it'll probably tell us here in this article. Let me just get through it. In a phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday, the king denied any knowledge of whatever may have happened to our Saudi Arabian citizen, the U.S. leader said in a tweet. Trump added he was immediately sending Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to Riyadh to meet with the king for talks on the crisis. And as we are recording this right now, I believe Pompeo is there in Riyadh or is within an hour or so of being with his boots on the ground to find out what the hell is going on over there. The disappearance of Khashoggi, last seen entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on October 2nd, has whipped up international concern, with new Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman increasingly the focus of sharp criticism. Turkish officials have said they believe Khashoggi, a Washington Post contributor who was critical of Prince Mohammed's policies, was killed inside the mission, and lurid claims have been leaked that he was even tortured and dismembered. After an initial silence, Riyadh said Khashoggi had left the consulate safely and then at the weekend denied as baseless claims that orders were given to have him killed. As Western companies began to distance themselves from the oil-rich Gulf nation, which is seeking outside investment to diversify its economy, which they have this huge meeting that's going on, and Chase Bank the Chase Bank head and Mr. Ford from Ford Motor Company, both of them this morning said they are not going to that due to all of this going on. Again, it was this huge, big meeting that was going on with all these big companies. Just like it says, the Saudis are trying to find outside money to help their countries. That you can't just rely on the oil anymore. So that's what this was all going on. As far as the world leaders not wanting to go there right now, that's what this discussion is. Again, as Western companies begin to distance themselves from the oil-rich Gulf nation, which is seeking outside investment to diversify its economy, the king also Sunday discussed the scandal with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. He reiterated Riyadh's solid relations with Ankara, according to the state-run Saudi press agency. It's not the first time that King Solomon has sought to ease tensions surrounding the 33-year-old Prince Mohammed, who has been cultivated by the U.S., but whose reformist credentials are being quickly shredded by the mysteries surrounding Khashoggi's fate. In an earlier phone call with Trump in April, King Salman reiterated Riyadh's position that Jerusalem must remain the capital of Palestine amid speculation that the kingdom had given up on the long-standing position. Alexander Metrisky, a security and defense analyst, said Saudi Arabia cannot control the international narrative, but can try to alleviate the most damaging fallout. Saudi Arabia warned Sunday it would retaliate against any sanctions imposed over the Khashoggi's disappearance after Trump threatened severe punishment if the writer was found to be a victim of a state-sponsored killing. Quote, the purpose of Sunday's message broadcasted by the Saudi national media is twofold. One goal is to satisfy the domestic public opinion that Saudi Arabia and its royal family will not be humiliated, and the other goal is to send a message to the U.S., Matresky, researcher at the University of Sydney, told AFP. The kingdom's warning was not only a response to Trump, but also targeted at U.S. decision-makers amid rising calls for Congress to step in and put key arms sales on hold, he said. It'll be the task of political advisors and strategists to prevent Trump from causing damage to the U.S.-Saudi relationship, he added. As the United States and Turkey have ratcheted up pressure on the kingdom, Saudi companies, officials, and princes have also gone online in a wave of solidarity with the ruling family. Saudi flags, photos of the king, Crown Prince looking stern and pro-Saudi hashtags were making the rounds on social media Monday with a common theme. Saudi Arabia and its ruling family are a, quote, red line, unquote. Saudi Minister of Information Awad al-Awad tweeted on Sunday that the kingdom always prevails against its enemies under the wise leadership of the king and crown prince, using the Arabic hashtag Saudis in line with the leadership. Billionaire Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, who was among those temporarily detained as part of what Saudi authorities said was an anti-corruption crackdown, tweeted an image of the Saudi flag Sunday in support of the ruling family, saying, God, then the king, then the nation. One Twitter user said the Saudis will not bow down and will not kneel, but only to God. We are all Salman and we are all Mohammed. Some Saudis opted to remain silent for fear of consequences. What is the use of discussing an issue that might throw you in a place you don't want to be? A Saudi citizen residing in Dubai told AFP on condition of anonymity. Let us wait quietly. James Dorsey, a fellow at Singapore's S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, said Saudi Arabia was stepping up moves against criticism. There's been a stark repression of anyone whose comments are not supportive of the government, he told AFP. A Saudi's public prosecutor warned earlier this week that those spreading fake news can be sentenced to 5 years in jail. There has been a concerted effort on social and state-controlled media to portray Khashoggi's disappearance as a conspiracy against the kingdom, he added. So there we have Saudi state media trying to say that there's nothing to see here. It's all about, Mohammed and the country and this, and we will, go against our enemies and what have you. This is going to be very interesting, this whole entire deal. Let's see. There's another one. This is from News Wars. Did Saudis and the CIA fear Khashoggi's 9/11 bombshell? And we've been talking about this for a while here at the Patriotic Pitbull News Network. We also talked about it on the Patriots Soapbox a couple of weeks ago about Kavanaugh getting in and the Bush family not wanting Kavanaugh to be approved for the Supreme Court. I think this story ties into that a little bit. We'll talk about that here just at the end. Macabre question, missing journalist Jamal Khashoggi raises the question, did Saudi rulers fear him revealing highly damaging information on their secret dealings? In particular, possible involvement in the 9/11 terror attacks on New York in 2001. Even more intriguing are U.S. reports now emerging that American intelligence has snooped on and were aware of Saudi officials making plans to capture Khashoggi prior to his apparent disappearance at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul last week. If the Americans knew the journalist's life was in danger, why didn't they tip him off to avoid his doom? Khashoggi had gone rogue from the Saudis' elite's point of view, formerly a senior editor in Saudi state media. See, that's who he was. Jamal Khashoggi was a senior editor in Saudi state media, same media that's telling you all this other BS that we just went through in that last article. Formerly a senior editor in Saudi state media and an advisor to the royal court. He was eminently connected and versed in House of Saud affairs. As one commentator cryptically put it, he knew where all the bodies were buried. For the past year, Khashoggi went off into self-imposed exile. Again, self-imposed exile. Taking up residence in the U.S., where he began writing opinion columns for the Washington Post. Khashoggi's articles appeared to be taking on increasingly critical tone against the heir to the Saudi crown, or to the Saudi throne, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The 33-year-old Crown Prince, or MBS as he's known, is de facto ruler of the oil-rich kingdom in place of his aging father, King Salman. While Western media and several leaders such as President Trump and Macron have been indulging MBS as a reformer, Khashoggi was spoiling this Saudi public relations effort by criticizing the war in Yemen, the blockade on Qatar, and the crackdown on Saudi critics back home. However, what may have caused the Saudi royals more concern was what Khashoggi knew about darker, dirtier matters, and not just the Saudis, but American deep state actors as well. Now, right here, let's think about what happened in Benghazi. There were other people in charge then, but this kind of stuff we know happens over there. He was formerly a media aide to Prince Turki Al Faisal, who was an eminent gris figure in Saudi intelligence, with its systematic relations to American and British counterparts. Prince Turki's father, Faisal, was formerly the king of Saudi Arabia until his assassination in 1975 by a family rival. Faisal was a half-brother of the present king, Salman, and therefore Prince Turki is a cousin of the crown prince, albeit more than 73, or albeit at 73, more than twice his age. For nearly 23 years, from 1977 to 2001, Prince Turki was the director for the Mukhabarat, the Saudi state intelligence apparatus. He was instrumental in Saudi, American, and British organization of the Mujahideen fighters in Afghanistan to combat Soviet forces. Those militants in Afghanistan later evolved into the Al-Qaeda terror network, which has served as a cat's paw in various U.S. proxy wars across the Middle East, North Africa, and Central Asia, including Russia's backyard in the Caucasus. 10 days before the 9/11 terror attacks in New York City, in which some 3,000 Americans died, Prince Turki retired from his post as head of Saudi intelligence. It was an abrupt departure, well before his tenure was due to expire. There has previously been speculation in U.S. media that this senior Saudi figure knew in advance that something major was going down on 9/11. At least 15 of the 19 Arabs who allegedly hijacked 3 commercial planes that day were Saudi nationals. Prince Turki has subsequently been named in a 2002 lawsuit mounted by families of 9/11 victims. There is little suggestion he was wittingly involved in organizing the terror plot. Later, public comments indicated that Prince Turki was horrified by the atrocity. But the question is, did he know of the impending incident? And did he alert U.S. intelligence, which then did not take appropriate action to prevent it? Jamal Khashoggi has long served as a trusted media advisor to Prince Turki, before the latter resigned from public office in 2007. Following 9/11, Turki was the Saudi ambassador to both the U.S. and Britain. A tentative idea here is that Khashoggi, in his close dealings with Prince Turki over the years, may have gleaned highly sensitive information on what actually happened on 9/11. Were the Arab hijackers mere patsies used by the American CIA to facilitate an event which has since been used by American military planners to launch a global war on terror as a cover for illegal wars overseas? There is a huge body of evidence that the 9/11 attacks were indeed a false flag event orchestrated by the U.S. deep state as a pretext for its imperialist rampages. The apparent abduction and murder last week of Jamal Khashoggi seems such an astoundingly desperate move by the Saudi rulers. More evidence is emerging from Turkish sources that the journalist was indeed lured to the consulate in Istanbul, where he was killed by a 15-member hit squad. Reports are saying that the alleged assassination was ordered at the highest level of the Saudi royal court, which implicates Crown Prince MBS. Why would the Saudi rulers order such a heinous act, which would inevitably lead to acute political problems, as we are seeing in the fallout from governments and media coverage around the world? Over the past year, the House of Saud has been appealing to Khashoggi to return to Riyadh and resume his services as a media advisor to the royal court. He declined, fearing that something more sinister was afoot. When Khashoggi turned up in Istanbul to collect a divorce document from the Saudi consulate on September 28th, it appears that the House of Saud decided to nab him. He was told to return to the consulate on October 2nd. On that same day, the 15-member group arrived from Riyadh on 2 private Gulfstream jets for the mission to kill him. Official Saudis' claims stretch credulity. They say Khashoggi left the consulate building unharmed by a back door, although they won't provide CCTV, that's closed-circuit television, images to prove that. The Turks say that their CCTV facilities monitoring the front and back of the Saudi consulate show that Khashoggi did not leave the premises. The Turks seem confident of their claim he was murdered inside the building. His remains dismembered and removed in diplomatic vehicles. The 2 private jets left the same day from Istanbul with 15 Saudis on board to return to Riyadh via Cairo and Dubai. Now, to carry out such a reckless act, the Saudis must have been alarmed by Khashoggi's critical commentaries appearing in the Washington Post. The columns appeared to be delivering more and more damaging insights into the regime under Crown Prince MBS. Washington Post this week is reporting that U.S. intelligence sources knew from telecom intercepts that the Saudis were planning to abduct Khashoggi. That implicates the House of Saud in a dastardly premeditated act of murder. But furthermore, this same disclosure could also unwittingly implicate U.S. intelligence. If the latter knew of a malicious intent toward Khashoggi, why didn't U.S. agents warn him about going onto the Saudi consulate in Istanbul? Surely, he could have obtained the same personal documents from the Saudi embassy in Washington, D.C., a country where he was residing and would have been safer. Jamal Khashoggi may have known too many dark secrets about U.S. and Saudi intel collusion, primarily related to the 9/11 terror incidents. And with his increasingly volubility As a critical journalist and a prominent American news outlet, it may have been time to silence him. The Saudis as hitman, the American CIA as facilitators. And last but not least in today's drops, did you guys see this? Let me blow this up just a little bit more here on this page, but I wanted you folks to maybe pay attention to this, okay? We talk about this kind of stuff here a lot on Patriotic Pitbull News Network. Mysterious eerie hum from the sky lasting 45 minutes with air vibrating baffles locals, right? I would implore you to look up the YouTube video. YouTuber Renee Krapinski shared the bizarre clip, which features a low, unusual, fluctuating noise appearing to emanate from the sky in Sweden. It's a 2-minute and 21-second video, was reshared by another YouTube channel. In the latest string of unusual noises to be heard from the sky worldwide, with unusual hums and horrific trumpet noises. Scientists have been theorizing what is causing this noise, with theories ranging from shifting ice to distant storms. Krapinski shared the video of him standing in a snowy landscape, which is silent apart from a constant low buzz and a passing snowmobile. Footage begins with him filming the evening sky as the odd sound radiates across the landscape, briefly interrupted when a snowmobile passes, but once it is gone, the pulsing hum remains. He was standing in an almost empty snow-covered landscape with no obvious source of the ambient noise. And if you watch the video, ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of trippy. In his post, which was reshared today by Channel Atlantic Paradise Universe, he said, something strange is going on. I heard this sound, it was constant, and it was as if the sound gave vibrations in the air. He added, I've never heard it before. It is usually a very quiet place here. I am sure the sound came from the sky or the atmosphere. The sound came from the whole sky. I could not locate it if it came from north, south, east, or west. It filled it all. It was strange. Ladies and gentlemen, think of HAARP. Think of weather manipulation. Think of things like that. This kind of stuff is happening. We already have the documents. We have the proof. This is happening. Don't keep your head in the sand and act like it's not. But I would say go to YouTube if you get a little bit of a chance and look up Sky Sounds Mystery in Sweden. This isn't the first time this has happened. This isn't the second time either. And with all of that, ladies and gentlemen, that is Patriotic Pitbull News Network for today. I wanted to let you folks know that had reached out to me. We had the technological breakdown last week. Everything that could have went down besides the TV on the wall. That's a good thing because that would have been just another expense here. So we're back. We should be good to go here. I think we're going to get this up. And like I said at the beginning of this video, we're not on the Patriots Soapbox today because you have to have a meeting number and then you get a password and some other stuff. All of that was on my other phone and my other computer, and we are on new stuff, so I don't have the information to get in there. I'm going to get it today now that I can get back in connection with all those folks. And Abe, Indy, if I stuck you guys today, I apologize. I will make up for it somewhere or send you guys I don't know, free Chinese food or something. Dinner on me. I don't know. Whatever. But anyways, thanks to all the Patriots that support here at the Patriotic Pitbull News Network. We got our Patriots up in Nevada sent us some really cool lights. They're really making the facilities look better here. So we appreciate that. This new camera's actually, the camera's pretty cool. So yeah, I wanted to say thanks to everybody who's been backing us up. And for those that were around for the debauchery of last week, well, good on you. We made it through. I knew we would. Let the haters hate. Let the haters hate. Because we're just getting stronger. We're just getting better. And we're still sexy. So with that being said, folks, if this is the first time you're seeing my beautiful face, I know it's not beautiful today, but you might like and share this stuff. Patriotic Pitbull here on YouTube. And for all you Patriots who want to see 24/7 Patriots Soapbox here on YouTube, go over, like us, click on us, subscribe. We got some great stuff over there. You know what? We're gonna be getting more stuff up here on our channel too. We're back in business. We're rocking and rolling. Make your day count. Be a David. God bless America. Like we always say here, be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. God bless America. God bless our president. And God bless the world and all the other Patriots. We're winning the war here, folks. We're winning the war.